Addiction thinks in circles, whereas invention thinks in spirals.
Yes. Yes,
And
yes,
I
yes.
love it. And spiral is not one dot, it's actually one seed becoming bigger and bigger and bigger
Mhm.
and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So I'm grateful for that. And then two, just the pain just reminding me like this body is so amazing.
Where else can you go
Hmm.
other than inside? And
Hmm.
when you're so almost like forced to face yourself, you find lots of love. Quite funny because I just had a breakdown over the weekend, a massive meltdown,
Oh man.
which led to breakthrough, some sort of breakthrough. So when I opened it, I was very surprised. And I was like, well, of course. Why am I always surprised that it just aligns? How is
Mhm.
this even possible? How?
Mm.
How is this aligning somehow so well with what's happening in our life, right? Somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at some level you have to surrender to it, to just like the synchronicity. You know, when someone reads your mind and you're like, or when I had this yesterday. It was like Carly was talking with someone at the beach, and I was like 15 feet away. I couldn't really hear them. And all of a sudden, I started thinking about Carly being pregnant again because she's brought it up. She's like, at some point, she wants to do a fourth, and we've been kind of like discussing the how and the
Nice.
when. Yeah, and it's not gonna happen anytime soon. But I just randomly started thinking about it, and then Carly looks back at me, and she's like, "Come over here." And I sit down, and then this woman that Carly's talking to, she's like, "Yeah, I had a dream that Carly was pregnant last night or last week or whatever."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Well, of course I would think about it right when they start talking about it." So these like these moments, and we can get excited and like talk about like how did this happen? It's just like it's one of those things. It's beyond our ability to comprehend or control or direct it. And I think because we've surrendered so much to this process, that's why we're having such epiphanies along the way.
Aha. Well, speaking of, speaking of,
So, do you want to indulge me in what happened?
well, it happened exactly what this key is all about. And
Yeah.
well, okay, well, let me not present myself as Mrs. Have It All and Know It All. Not at all. Um, but what happened is that this like out of blue, unpredictable, almost like unplanned, um, like a trigger or a button press or just a like hit in the nail occurred for a massive release of the tension and the energy. And it was so raw and so vulnerable that I found myself, I couldn't even stop it. And it very much out of blue, having a normal day to day. You know, you never actually know when these things occur. And they just come in such a compounded, all at once, borderline aggressive way of almost like pushing through you something to be released so that way you can feel, you can get some insight, right?
Hmm.
And as I was reading this, I was like, oh my God. In so many ways, I feel this shadow in so many ways. And then so much so that I had to, the reason why I was late because I wanted to take shower because the shadow was just so heavily resonating with me, right?
Hmm.
And when you feel this like inner rejection. And it's so deep in the core of not being seen and heard and validated that often, like, like I am noticing the spin in the cycle, and I'm noticing how brutal the mind can be, how very brutal and vicious it can be, and how hard it is to stop it. You have to almost have a like so a lot of effort and to simply just like quiet yourself and find the environment where it just stops for a second. So I was taking a shower and I was thinking, I was like, how is it, how hard it is for me to sustain the state of gift in this key where you're constantly servicing, which is creating, like I tap into it, but, I come back into the shadow and I tap into it and I come back into the shadow. And then I was like, oh my God. Of course, my mind went back and was like, oh my God, am I the only one missing out? And everybody else is living in a gift of totally creating and servicing. And it's like, this thing is brutal and was very brutal this weekend for me. So much so that I just like totally just gave up of trying at all to make sense of anything and just like sobbed for almost entire day on Friday.
Hmm.
Entire day. And so much so that I couldn't, yesterday, I was like, I have to go to sleep. I couldn't eat. I didn't go to the gym, which is very not usual for me, right? So it's like I stopped everything in life just so that I can recover because it was so a lot, right? And I never even knew underneath all of this, there's so much going on. So
Hmm.
yeah, it
Hmm.
was very interesting. And when I read it, I was like, oh shit, I have to go and take a shower and take a minute and to actually accept that, yes, I've been in the recent time actively working in the such a low frequency of this shadow.
Hmm. And if I could ask, was it more personal or more work related or more like on a friendly level or romantic? Can you just give me a hint of where the
Mhm.
trigger came from?
I think it's a fear in general. I do sense like I know I sense operating in the fear. You know how we were talking in the past is like when the fear comes in and creeps in, you kind of almost want to feast on it a little bit more, and then you start going down and you open the world and the world of internet, and then you get into
Hmm.
politics, into reading that book, this book, that book. So I've noticed lately, actually this summer, that I have been by default running away from a lot of internal processing. And for whatever reason, sometimes it feels very easy to process things, and sometimes it simply doesn't, as if I simply can't, right? So my system cannot handle. It's like going and watching trash TV and Kardashians because you're like, I just need to get my mind like to do something else.
Hmm.
And this weekend, I think it culminated, all these fears culminated. So it's not really just related to work or the current state affairs or, like internal battles. I think it's also quintessential questions of existence that I'm pondering upon for the entire summer, like getting to know who I am, accepting parts of me, you
Hmm.
know. So there's a lot, I think, that culminated, and it just broke me, like big deal, massively broke me. And it was really good. It was such a good release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because being in Libra season, it's like the tipping of the scales so that they can balance again, maybe. Like, the two scales. And
Mm.
also this sign, this Jinky is related to Scorpio. So like the deep,
Ha.
deep waters. Yeah.
Speaking of my, well, since you're now into astrology,
Yeah.
chef's kiss. I, there's this really big transit that hits my core of my soul. And it's been happening for the entire year for quite a long time, for the last 2, 3 years. And my moon is in Libra, and it's
Mm.
0 degrees, which means it's so pure and innocent in nature that
Mm.
it's almost like naive, right? So it's almost like this harmony, this like balance that I'm constantly on a soul level seeking to give, receive, give, receive. It's almost never gets fulfilled, right? And
Yeah.
Neptune and Saturn are opposing directly, and Neptune is all dissolve, dissolve to because it rules the Pisces. It's almost like it wants to dissolve everything about you, your ego, your identity, your structure. It's literally pushing you, which is called delusion. So it's almost like it makes you delusional that you don't need to be here, that this is not needed. It wants you to dissolve
Mm.
everything of separateness that Saturn at the same time is teaching you to be responsible for. So there's this massive collide and confusion that, like I know it's going to take a long while. It's going to take me at least like a year or two more to deal with. And it's just so deeply felt in my heart, in my soul, that he almost like feels so raw and vulnerable and exposed. It's like, uh, because I'm always thinking, it's like, how do I show up to the world? Is this the right? And this is exactly this key. It's almost like you almost wonder how, I don't know when I operate out of shadow versus service versus transcendence, right? So it's almost like it's very not clear
Mm.
as a sense in the body. And it's been going on for 2 years. So this Libra season it's kicking my ass.
Mm.
Well, this opposition is actually kicking my ass for,
Yeah, yeah.
for 2 years already.
What
Anyway, we can move on from me.
well, I have one more question. If you had to
Okay,
guess,
I love it.
and maybe there's no point to this, but if you had to guess how you come out on the other side, how you show up, who you are, like what experience have you gained? How do you, yeah,
If I had a guess,
yeah,
my
if you step
guess would
into it.
be not something I want to admit. I think I come out very confused and lost,
Mm.
if that's true. You tell me how I come out.
Oh, I don't know.
But you are the outside. You watch me. You see
um,
me.
yeah, yeah. Let me get further into the book on astrology and learn a little bit more, and then maybe I'll have insight for you. I'm I'm recognizing for myself like astrology is such an interesting tool. It's very complex. There's many layers to it, and there's a bit of like as I'm learning, I'm also unlearning a lot. I'm also surrendering to like there's a temptation to say like, "Oh, I can master this system along with anything else." It's like, hmm, probably not. In fact, that's the illusion, right? So it's, I trust inner intuition more than anything else. And so I trust if you're saying you'll come out confused or maybe just detached from like the intellect, perhaps, then I trust that's probably true for you. So you feel like you're deepening into the layers beyond the mind, or you feel like the mind comes in just to try to control and create stability for yourself? Like, how does that relate to the deafness that he talks about here? Are
There's
you,
this like,
yeah,
go ahead.
just between like, I feel like what I got from the shadow was between worry and then the other side, which is like action, trying to get control of the fear itself, trying to like stave it off. Like if I get enough resources and build a strong enough fence, then I won't be bothered by, you know, the things that can come and destroy me.
Mm. Yeah, it's hard not to build that defense mechanism. It's like almost like, in many cases, thank God we have it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will not survive it. Like it's he writes somewhere here where he explains. No, anyway, I sidetrack. Um, your question was related to what exactly? I kind of got lost a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, I took you on a rabbit trail. Um,
We forgot. I
yeah,
love
I
it.
think I lost a little bit. I did find I found like your wisdom throughout this one, which it surprised me to hear you say like you really are resonating with the shadow because throughout the whole Gene Key, I'm like hearing things that you've told me and some deeper teachings. One of the ones here in shadow is about moods. As an aspect of the universe, our very bodies, excuse me, our very bodies are subject to these same fluctuations, and we call them our moods.
Mm.
So it's just like the dynamism, the dynamic nature of the universe, kind of it's underlaying everything that is. It's always changing. That's just a natural component. And that applies to us as well. When we think we have some stability and some control, but then we'll just wake up one morning and just be in a mood. And I remember you telling me this. And at the time I had resistance. I was like, I don't know. I think, I had that fight in me of saying if you set it up correctly and you have the right systems but it's like there's really nothing you can do. You could have everything that we think that would give us complete and utter happiness every single day, and you can just still wake up and just be in a mood.
And mood, you're talking just like different emotional states.
Yeah.
I was I I was writing in my journal this morning, and I take sticky notes when thoughts like this just come of shall or create themselves, and I write them randomly. I have sticky notes everywhere around the apartment, and I wrote, "You can only the thought," and I don't know, I probably read it somewhere. It says you can only give what you have.
Mm.
It's like what your inner world is actually shows outwardly, right? And I think that is very big fear of mine. It's like, am I not doing enough of work, right? It's like, oh my God. And it's very real fear to me. It's like, oh, I did that wrong, that wrong, that wrong, that wrong. But I know that that's a practice, that's a practice, that's a practice. And I still couldn't get to that practice rather than I just was me and moody and premenopause, you name it. It's like there's 5 million and gazillion reasons that I will never know, right? And it's simply to acceptance. I think it's a big part of accepting that you made a mistake, accepting that you said something wrong in the jump the gun moment, accepting, owning it, and almost like acknowledging it to self first. And once you accept
Mm.
that's inside, it becomes very easy to acknowledge it to the outer world as well.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah. So find how do you find, so are you operating out of, can you recognize yourself in the shadow more or in a gift of creation
Um, I am
or a
very,
city even?
yeah, I'm very tempted to say city
I knew it.
just because like all three, I'm like, okay, like it just kind of feels very natural. And I'm like, I could be in any of them. And when I read city, it didn't, I was like, I'm pretty sure he's like, reading about Buddha's epiphany of just giving up.
Mm.
You maybe on paper or like with your intelligence, you can understand what that would be like, but you can't know the experience until you have it. And I'm just reading it and I'm like, I it's almost tempting to talk myself into that I haven't had a city yet because seems like it's out there, like it's some event and it's going to be, but I'm like reading the whole thing. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this isn't far away. I don't know if I've like attained city like abilities and in some of the cities they're very, very profound. Like, you know. Um yeah, but this one it's a blend.
Mm. And I also feel like, and this is what I was pondering upon today, it's like, are these states just something you click into and you go from there at that level,
Mm.
right? Are they actually sustainable? Are they sustained states for a longer period of time? Probably there's a ratio that increases eventually as you mature, or as we all mature, but it's like, I think it's just a glimpse of experience that changes then the amount of time you spend into the shadow because you get these insights or aha moments.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if you look at the cities in the Jinkies here at least, they kind of point to a deeper acceptance of the whole system and the like life is dynamic and changing and moving. And I think earlier on in one of the first 10 gene keys, he broke down the movement between the three stages, the three states, and saying like if you remember, in the shadow you can't really understand the gift yet, and you definitely don't see the city. And the gift, you see the shadow that you came out of, and you're kind of playing between the two. And then the city, it's so much more ethereal. Like uh, there's not really hard lines between the three, and you move quite easily, especially between city and shadow. Which at the time I'm like, I don't understand why that would be. It didn't make sense to me.
Hmm.
But with this one, I'm like, I kind of get it because okay, you're in epiphany, you're in this deep surrender, and then you wake up and you're in a mood, and you might get frustrated about your mood, and then you have an opportunity to surrender then to the mood of the day, or to like, um, okay, there's a tsunami coming, there's a big hurricane coming to the islands, and what do you do with it? You adapt and you surrender. There's nothing that you can control in that situation. It's way bigger. And just as an example, one thing that's really been resonating here in this Gene Key is when we end our talks and you say, we're just saying bullshit anyway. And I love that. And I've been saying it, I've been hearing it in my head more because I get a little bit socially anxious. And so I'm at the beach and I'm like, okay, I'm talking to this person really in my head about what I'm supposed to say or how I appear, really like imagining how I'm appearing. And then anytime someone's in that state, you can feel like they're watching themselves as they're talking, and there's just like a layer that you can't get past.
Mm.
And then if I get into this, and then I remember when you say, I'm just saying we're all just speaking bullshit, like none of this matters. And it gets rid of judgment against myself and against others, like why are you gossiping? Why are you doing this? Why are you talking about that topic? Like it's all bullshit anyway. Like me thinking that I'm better than you, or like I'm speaking about things that are worthy and you're not. It's all dead air in a way. And that just frees me up. That's a level of surrender. So I just want to thank you for that. There's like I sense in surrender to this we have a desire to be perfect or be right, like you said. Um, say the right things, do the right things, show up. You have some level of like, I want to do those things and be those things and be this person so that I can have an impact in the world and be valuable and experience the gifts, right? And then part of, I think, moving into Epiphany is releasing that desire and saying, maybe, what would life look like if I had nothing to give, if I couldn't give anything? And yeah, I think you only get there, you only get there through a deep, really, really deep, like in Scorpio, like this moment of just complete surrender. And I think why I resonate here is because I continually face these moments of like, to be very candid, like I just don't want to live anymore. And not that I'm planning out a suicide or anything, but just like, yeah,
Mm.
what do I do with
Since
this?
when?
Oh, since as long as I can remember, maybe a teenager, late teenage years, and then every you know few years, and then sometimes multiple times a year, I'll just have days where yeah, just don't feel like doing it. Just want to give up. Just want to dissolve. Just like
Mm.
deeply dissolve. It's like the desire to like, okay, I sense that there's bullshit and I get it. I'm here to learn something,
Mm.
but just wanting to be released from it or experience. Yeah.
And I just want to clarify, are you talking on a soul level, which dissolving on a soul level means almost like evolving. Dissolving is evolving in many ways deep down on an energetic soul level. Or and what you want to give up of, it's almost like trying to figure it out in the earth, encapsulated, ego-driven, mind-driven life. Is that what you're saying?
Uh-huh.
So this emotionally 3D emotional world is heavy.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. You know, I agree with you. And when I had this meltdown, I guess I'm going to add something to it. Let's just be vulnerable. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
When I had this yesterday, I went to the beach and I read this like small little pocketbook of literature and words and why words matter because they are our tools and how we use them to destroy each other and build the wars rather than build the bridges with the words because that's how we communicate majority of our states. And if I'm afraid to speak, because to speak my state, because I have to fit into the box and the structure of what must be done and said, then I am closing and isolating myself even more. And if I don't, and he's talking about in the city for Epiphany, he says, evolution of our planet is moving us steadily toward a place of increased individual freedom with less and less work to do, more
Mm-hmm.
and more free time to contemplate about what is the meaning of us and behind this entire course of life or school of life. So, and I wondered, I was like, wow, when we do, because in solitude, which, I have a lot of time to think and feel. And whenever I get to such a heightened state of emotional state, I almost like desire to release it so much that there must be the tension that it's building up and some catalytic catalyst moment has to happen in order for me to release. And it's a massive amount of release because I get to a state of total surrender. It's like there's nothing I can do. And when I can't do anything, I tap into the sense of humility of being human and experiencing my soul, almost like experiencing, having experience of being human with such amount of emotions. And
Mm.
yesterday I thought, I was like, no wonder why people drink and drug themselves. It's
Yeah.
like it's hard
Yeah.
because, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm the crazy one for not drinking and drugging myself. I should
Mm.
just have a, and why am I choosing to
Right.
experience it so purely and in a raw state without running away? And can I? And then I wonder, can I handle it? Can
Mm-hmm.
I really handle my emotional, dense heaviness of these like core wounds that we're talking through seven seals? It's like rejection, loneliness, longing for something, like, can I handle? And, you know, on the other side, when the release happens after that explosion, and I really didn't realize nothing clear other than I released a large amount of energy from my body, and these emotions are no longer there. The stories just disappear. And I
Mm.
can see how I can get myself to that level of trying, searching, 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 just so that I can give up. And then right after that, get lighter. Buddha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I read it, I was like, did he really just said fuck it and then got enlightened? That's what it kind of
Yeah.
ended up being. So search, search, meditate, meditate, search, search. But the more I do that, the more I'm missing the point. And all of it for a moment of belly laugh and a cosmic joke, which at the same time really explains that this is all such a bullshit. And, I get mad at myself because I'm gifted with Gemini rising, with the communication skill. It's like I have to communicate in order to understand. But
Right.
through that communication, I just enter a kindergarten level in order to go into a primary and secondary school of being. So I don't know how else to do it other than think things through, contemplate, confuse myself, explain metaphorically, open this space of wonder, and literally send it out and let it levitate and never come back. So it's in a way the gateway to process my states.
Mm-hmm.
And when I don't have that gateway to explain, experience through words what I'm feeling, it's like I almost create this such a tense, dense like environment where I burst. I can burst. I short circuit. Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I I almost I don't. It's not damaging for now, but I can see how it can also get damaging for the nervous system, and almost like a lot of these qualities of you, like self-worth and stuff like that, isolation, shame, all of it
Mm-hmm.
can just compound inside. So
Hmm.
I'm I get it when you say it's hard to handle emotions. I totally understand.
Yeah.
But we'll have more time to contemplate about them. Do you think this will do us good, or well, will get us even in more trouble?
Uh, which part specifically? This.
The time and space we will have left for us to sit and think about ourselves and
Oh,
feel.
yeah. On a general level,
Hmm.
like speaking for society. And what was the
Yeah.
question again? Sorry.
I find this to be, we're entering into the time where we're going to not know exactly how to deal with this inner states.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
because do you think we're equipped to deal with that much time and space to think and contemplate?
Um, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know that most of humanity is not equipped for this because because I've kind of experienced what it's like already and being like we work only as much as we want to between Carly and I, and I've had periods where I haven't worked at all for like, months, if not multiple years. And so I've already kind of like experienced essentially you're touching the void because you're left with you're left without stimulation, and then this inherent seeking quality of creating the stability, creating the fence around your hale, your home, and finding structure and meaning in the social relationships around your workplace or in what you do. And if all that's stripped away, you now have, I think what's coming, like to me, and piecing this together with what I see coming is we're going into a state of abundance. I think that the cost of things will come down dramatically with robotics and then AI technology, and there won't be a huge need for human labor. So now you have abundance of time. Now you have abundance of resources. Um, and then people initially there will be like this like very celebratory this like release of the tension of the struggle, right? And then I think it won't take very long at all before there's like the peak and then the drop after into this touching the void of like, holy shit, what do I do with my time now? I can do anything. And I tried all of all of the things I thought were going to fill me up. Nothing does. What's left? Because for the longest time, the generations before us, they sought after a life built on like 40 years of work, of creating a structure at home with the family, and then you see different levels of crisis throughout, like the midlife crisis. And what is that? Oh, it's because you you get to this point, and astrologically speaking, there's like all the influences as well. But you get to this point in your life where what you thought was going to create stability and fill that void for you, you're sitting there and you're reopened up into uncertainty. And so I think it's coming as like really we are going to be like filled materially, and we're kind of already experiencing this now. It's like you can have anything you want relatively easily, but if the cost of everything comes down, you can go anywhere, you can travel anywhere for fairly cheap. You can purchase anything, you can get a meal, you can, you know, it's hard to imagine a life where it's like 10 times cheaper than it is now. But you begin to fill with experiences, you begin to fill with materials, you begin to fill with all the things that you thought you wanted, and then there's like, you party and then there's the after. And then the party is what gets highlighted. It's what the movies are made on. It's what the stories are told. And then the after is like this very lonely, very somber, very um in a way it's kind of gross. It's like I'm watching Carly and I just started this Terrence Malick movie. Do you know Terrence Malick? The way he directs his movies, he tells the actors like general sense of who the character is in the scene. But he says, so do whatever you want. And it's very like above the shoulder, kind of following them around. It feels like you're watching a memory.
Mhm.
And this guy, this guy is escaping the pain um, in his own life. His brother died, and he's not close with his dad, and he's just trying to like figure out his place. He's very successful materially, so he sleeps around, he does all these things, he parties. But you see the experience of like not just the party and not just the rise, but you see also like the day after. You see the depression within his his attempt to like feel something. That's kind of like the approach is like, how do I feel something? Meanwhile, he's not touching anything inward. He's going completely external. So for those of us that have a capacity and have experience with going inward and seeing what's there, touching it, and coming out with some level of epiphany, I think we'll be okay. And I think there's a network of people that know, and we're going to be, in some sense, we're going to be leaders because there will be a meaning crisis, and we'll be sitting here saying, like, we'll be shouting into the void, saying, like, nothing's going to fulfill you. Like, go back to the self, you know, find your breath, go out in nature, read a book. Like, there's these practical things, but ultimately it comes back to, like, how do you tap into what you have within you? That's the only truth, and what you have within you at the deepest level is that void point. It's the depth that cannot be fully touched. It's just endless. So you endlessly reach within it. Um,
Mm.
so in a very long way to answer that question, on a collective level, I think this will be on paper, like historically looking back at it, it will be the most disruptive time in human history at a collective
Mm.
level. But it will look like abundance. And that's where it will trick people.
Yeah. That was nice and good because I do agree is that what we think it is, it's actually not what it is. And I, in all honesty, I have a big concern about dealing with such inner turmoil and being in the world where with a lot of dysregulation and when people just simply don't know how to regulate. And when you are in such states of dysregulation, you simply don't see, you black out. There's no other human in front of you. There's no like to, you cannot resonate. You can't realistically look at you can't clearly see that you are dysregulated. It's simply like the system doesn't work in that favor. It works really hard to protect you and it closes you off, which builds the wall around you. So I when I when I when I put myself in public or when I talk to people, I can sense this need for vulnerable openness and sharing and connection and longing for it to deeply, deeply connect in safety and peace and almost like innocence, right? So it's like it doesn't matter the age anymore. Last week I met this person who he's in his late 60s or 70s and we talked about the AI, but I I speak my perspective. I'm not saying it's true ever. It's not the only truth. It's just what's the perspective, a data point. And he spoke his, but it was so beautiful to see this. He was so open to receive someone else's angle that changed his story about it. And then another person came in and joined the conversation, and his angle opened it up. So now you have three data points out of which you can create a story. And but to have that sense of sharing and exchange and feeling of safety that nobody's going to come out there and like snatch you just because you said something or you hit the nerve or like it's like this sense of safety we don't we don't know how to do that collectively for ourselves. So that's why there's so much I feel like so much hatred and canceling culture online because you hide behind the screens and then you you honk because you're needing like you take out one little short out of context for the entire story that it's very open for you to enter and contemplate together, which is ironically the invitation for the space to come in and join rather than just speaking directly. And I think this is getting us to a boiling point. And this boiling point, like you said, it's like so tense. It's becoming so much dense and like very pressuring. Like I hope it comes through a breakthroughs that are bringing us back to us, right? So that's why I think this can cause us a lot of, we're almost like we don't know which way it's gonna go.
Yeah.
But all I can say is just the way it goes with me. It's like until I can handle this like weight of my emotional vastness, I'm
Hmm.
down. And this is gonna come through a lot more breakthroughs and very, very painful moments of realization. And it's such a humble state of being human that, gosh.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Earlier you mentioned in the breakdown, it brings you to like a state of feeling like you're in kindergarten.
Hmm.
And this happened yesterday. I was at the beach and we had all the families together, so lots of kids. And I started to bury the kids in the black sand, and then all of them wanted to be buried. So at one point, I had like six kids up to their shoulders in black sand, and then this guy that was kind of next to us, he said, this is the original meaning of kindergarten, which I think is German, Kindergarten, which means growing children. But
From
to
a black
grow,
sand.
yeah,
So
but to
good.
grow, you have to immerse yourself in the depth and like
Mm.
immerse yourself in the earth and like ground in and
Mm.
then settle. And like what it was so nice, I'm like making the joke the whole time. I'm like, they're like, bury me. And I'm like, yeah, 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 I'll bury you. Is this good for us too? Now us parents can go play because you can't get out. You're like stuck in the sand.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah,
Well, I didn't know that. Really cool. But then, that humble like ground, that like nothing else. I can't do anything else. That
yeah.
total surrender. I love how he points out is like we all humans are really poets, pirates, and lovers.
Hmm.
And it brings down to wait a minute, it's like it a whole thing is very poetic.
Hmm.
And we're going out there rebelliously fighting. And really, in the end of the day, you can't help but not to love the whole journey of it, out of
Yeah.
which that gift just comes in a yeah, such a pure and innocent format.
Hmm.
Um, you know, yeah, poets, pirates, and lovers. I love that one.
Yeah. When I think of lovers, I think of Rumi,
Mhm.
and I think there's another poet that Richard talks about quite a bit. I can't remember his name,
Blake?
but Blake, yeah, Blake. There's one more, Rilke, maybe. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but
She's been coming up through my readings a lot.
but these people are, you know, I resonate so strongly with like the poetry of it, with like, the Pirate's Tale is such a like everyone loves those stories. Everyone loves it. But and imagine yourself in it. There's like this, could I could I fully dive into what it means to be a lover? Like these uh just like how deep you go into tasting that side of life, and in that depth of like just immersing like the other side, like the very practical worrying side just kind of falls away. And it's like I have these stories around what structure should look like and what stability looks like and what being a good X, Y, or Z would look like. And that in some way prevents me or it stabilizes me, however you want to look at it. But I was going to ask you, do you have a lot of earth in your chart? No.
My Earth is ruled by Neptune, which is dissolve it. um, I don't actually. My North node is Earth, Taurus. That's it.
Mm.
Everything is Piscean. And what you're saying is in the lovership or the lovers, in the name, how Rumi explains it, it's such a, to me, is the Siddhic state, right? To me, is the unattainable state in the physical realm. Yet the physical becomes the portal to enter into such state of unions out there. And if I can understand any of these city states is through loving
Mm.
and capacity to love another with so much unconditionality in this space further away, which is very Piscean. So that is the space where we live in that we want to come back and fit in the box of the body. And yet we struggle to deal with emotions because it's so blissful out there. And yet we have to come down and process it through the emotions. So it's almost like you're funneling this vastness of total joy and surrender and like void, like you said, and you're bringing it down into a human experience, such a little limited human experience, which is so painful.
Hmm.
And that's how I understand. It's like, oh my God, I love so much that I'm in so much pain because I cannot express it.
Yeah.
I am limited in expression. So I need to write a poetry. And I think this is exactly where poetry got created because the words become so simple yet so penetrating deeply as they open this space through our language and through the touch, through the look, through the energy blend. And yeah, that was part of my breakdown yesterday, by the way, that exact thing. So,
What's that? The poetry?
lovers,
Mm.
but capacity to get and understand and get to epiphany that yes, love can be really big and magical. And as such, because it's forced to be limited, shouldn't limit itself to the
Yeah.
form of this because I have to. So if I love and I experience rejection for loving so big,
Hmm.
just giving the example, hypothetical example, should I stop loving this big
Right,
if
right, right. Yeah.
right? And I think this is where we almost have to give up of it
Yeah.
in
It's
order to
the shadow temptation, like,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Like look
in
how it's
order
wrong. Look how it's wronged you. Now hide away, keep it to yourself or don't
yeah,
or don't touch it again.
exactly. And this is exactly where we close off the love the next time ever,
Hmm.
and then we just shrink it so much so, yet the need for love still remains the same. There's this longing and need to be fulfilled, and we turn into pseudo. And this is
Yeah.
where all this becomes very self-destructing because we don't know how to process these things inside. And we're afraid of loving next time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wild dynamic. I'm starting to understand my placements quite a bit more with Aries ascendant and then Pisces sun. It's just like
What?
just it's like pulling apart because on the one end, I'm very forward driven. I'm very self-aware. I'm very like self-conscious and I have my desires. I know what I want. I know what to do. And then it's that's like if I'm looking forward, but then I feel this consciousness of all of the experience behind it. It's when Alan talks about it, it's like, okay, you're with Aries, it's like you have all the 12 signs, you have all the 11 signs behind you, and then you're like the driving force of initiation out of that. But then with Pisces, you have all the experiences behind you, and then you're trying to, bring that into form somehow or bring that into this experience. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this journey into the stars, into the
Mm.
planets and everything. Sorry to like, I keep going back to that. It's just really grabbing hold of my consciousness right now.
Yeah. I mean, in many cases, you go where no one else dares to go as Aries rising, right? So it's like every other sign is expecting you to go right there. And
Mm.
you are almost fearless in that way. You go with your head. You literally have no fear to get to where everybody else is going to follow. So you forge your way through it. And by the time you get to the Pisces, all of that you acquired, built, understood, you get to a point where all of it you have to go off, let go of.
Yeah.
And the cycle ends with letting go, which is why we're right now at this like Neptune, Saturn retrograding back and forth between Pisces and Aries, because you can sense it's like the one,
Yeah.
the Neptune now going retrograde, or Saturn going retrograde into Pisces for the last time. It's literally last time revisiting what else out there you're ready
Hmm.
to let go. Because when I move into Aries, I'm going to push you forward. And when that cycle closes, it almost opens that up. So the evolution just becomes closing the cycle, entering into another one, becoming bigger and more complex. So it's almost like that whole cycle has to close from start to end in order for the first grade to start.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And I feel to relate this back to the talk about lovers, pirates, and poets.
Mm, I love that.
It's like the Aries in me wants to be the lover and the pirate, and then the Pisces wants to be the poet.
Aha. Oh, wow.
Because
That's interesting.
well, it's like poetry is a little bit reflective. It's like kind of trying to culminate the story itself.
Mm,
But the Aries
mm.
is like, I just want to experience as much as possible. I just want to, yeah, like
Like the
set
fire.
set the sail, head out. Yeah.
Interesting. I think of Pisces as lovers and poets. My poetry comes out of love and
Yeah.
such deep love, and pirates is just experience of ego. That's how I'm thinking of it. But
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and you could spin it, because you could be a pirate who's egotistical and very self-serving, or you could be like the more poetic pirate, like there's just wanting to be life on the sea and doing things your own way and being rebellious. And yeah, I think there's, what is good and evil in the grand scheme of things. And that's also like I think that's the difficulty too in having such strong Pisces placements is we we sense the duality is really an illusion, and then we're seeing it manifest and play out in the world. And we're experiencing it. We're experiencing how others are perceiving these changes, and we can do nothing to kind of bring everyone up to speed with like how we see it, from the largest scale possible. For us, it's nothing more than the perfect manifestation of humanity and the universe trying to experience itself, like the monad reaching out and just having these nodes of experience. And there's just variations around quote unquote good and evil. Those are just perceptions from our limited perspective.
Mm,
But it doesn't bring you any, there's also the aspect of like, it doesn't bring you any more solace. Like, you don't feel better in saying, in having this awareness that it's not really good or bad or right or wrong. You're just kind of left with like, it just is. And then you
mhm,
get to this place of surrender.
mm. And also trust. And I think that surrender comes with that trust, trusting the higher powers, right? So it was like something else inside of me, outside of me is actually, like at play.
Yeah.
That's the trust in the universe, by the
Yeah.
way, which,
And play is a keyword there. Yeah. What
yeah.
were you going to say?
Do you trust the universe now more than you did before? Because in the beginning of the Gene Keys, it was like, I don't trust it.
um, the short answer is uh resounding yes. I'm just trying to
Mm.
remember the evolution that I've been on. Yeah, it's interesting because before it was a recognition that that the it was like seeing the effects of that belief of not trusting the universe. So I saw the effects and I was like, well, it's probably this cause, meaning like I don't have that foundation set. And then
Mm,
it's interesting is my expectations of how my life would change were very, very big. Like if I can get to this place of trusting the universe, my life will change dramatically. And what's actually happened is not a lot has changed, but it's just kind of like this settling energy. You know, that could be debated too. It's really hard to see yourself in the process of evolution. And maybe if I look back at the old talks, I can see it more clearly. But
mm,
memory is a tricky thing. We only have like memories of memories. We don't It's not really the experience itself. We can't really fully encapsulate what it was like in my body back then, in my mind, in my heart. I just have, the words that were said, the way that you reacted, you know, the
yep.
general sense of feeling of instability. Like, okay, what would it be like to not trust the universe? Um,
Mm.
and is it a switch that's flipped, or is it just more surrender than before? Because ultimately, that's what it takes.
Or,
Ooh, I like the or.
or what is this? He writes it, or these like a random experiences of insight when you take a pee.
Yeah, looking at the stars. Yeah,
And she's like, there's a story of her taking a pee, looking at the stars, and got an insight out of blue. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I love the law of randomness. And that's where I think it's like surrendering. It's almost like give up of trying. Milik
yeah,
say, stop trying, damn it, and just relax and give it a space because it's gonna occur sooner or later. And that's where I turn around into, oh my God, like if I only let go of controlling and trying to make it something, who knows? Maybe I'll win the lottery, the cosmic lottery of just a one small little insight, just one
yeah.
tiny.
Or maybe it's yeah, maybe it's the realization that you've already won the lottery. That
Mhm. That's
that's
what it.
yeah, that's
That's
what it
what it
is.
is about.
Yeah, that's the epiphany. You know the story of Ramdas meeting his guru
Maharaji.
Maharaji. You know
Mm,
the story.
mm,
He was in the Himalayas. He walked out to pee at night, looked up at the stars, and thought of his mother who died 6 months before that time.
mm.
And then he hiked up, met the guru, and he immediately said, "You were thinking of your mother last night." And so he's just like his moment of surrender, his moment of epiphany happened through a guru, through like a vessel, but it doesn't need to. It occurs randomly. And we hear other stories of like how it happened for Buddha, how it happened for Osho, how it happened for Ramdas. And then we think it has to happen that way for us. Like Osho sat under a tree, meditated for 8 hours, and then boom. So we
So,
think, oh, I'll sit under a tree, and then that's how it'll happen to me.
I mean, Sadhguru 8 days later, it just
Yeah.
disappeared and he just like rested.
Yeah. Sitting in a chair,
Wasn't
not moving for, yeah,
eight
multiple
days not
days.
eating. I love that. It's so messed up in many ways and also fascinating. It's so
Hmm.
mystical. And I think we're missing the point by trying to figure it out all the time. And this is where I think you and I are getting ourselves in such trap consciously by trying to engage in these conversations, but also like as evolutionary as they can get, I think they're beneficial, right? In many ways to open up even further more the space to laugh about it all, like to really realize the how funny we
Yeah.
are. I am.
Yeah. Well, you get to choose. On the other side, you can say, um, Do I want to be a monk or do I want to participate as a pirate, a poet, and a lover?
Oof, I love that. Oh my God, I
I could
love
just say those
that.
words and then you're like, oh, I love that.
I love that I'm gonna put
They're
it
ready.
in I want to frame them because they're so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But that's where it's interesting because I've had these talks with you where some weeks I'm like, what was the point? And, we get to the end, we're like, that was bullshit. What are we saying? And then I actually come away and I'm like, yeah, am I wasting my time? Like, I actually deeply question it. For whatever reason today, I'm just here. There's, and it's like, this is where I am. There's nothing else. Like, I'm not actually thinking, um, that I'm wasting any time. I don't know who this is going to benefit. When I start to go down that rabbit trail, it starts to trap. I think the trap is in like defining the defining the who, the what, the why, you know. I think that's
Mm,
where we start to get lost and
yeah.
or judgmental or like we're comparing or finding where it's an issue. But
Yeah. And same. I think you and I are going through the same thing. It's like I've been wondering if this wondering. I actually don't have an answer to it. But
mm,
think is like, is this doing any good? But then I realized today also, it's like the environment we what it says, you begin to realize that although you cannot create these breakthroughs, you can expand the environment in which they seem to occur. This
mm,
environment is one of deep relaxedness, and solitude. So this environment actually brings, just today, it brought a lot of relaxation. And by default to me, that's not a waste of my time because I was able to actually drop just and be relaxed and not try.
mm-hmm.
There wasn't like too much of an effort
Yeah,
to understand something rather than it was just that.
yeah.
So,
And also like, relaxation is it's not as straightforward as it seems because solitude itself can be deeply troubling. Like the waters are really moving around quite a bit. I find I'm the most relaxed when I've exhausted myself physically,
mm,
like playing in the waves and getting a little beat up. Yesterday, I'm like, okay, my like my fingernails are kind of getting cut up from the salt and the rocks and the sand, like digging in. My knees were sore because it's like the black sand is like pretty sharp. Um, my my toes have been injured because I kicked a rock this last week, and so I'm in the water, coming in and out, and I'm like feeling all this
oh,
pain. Yeah, it's like abrasive on this like open wound, and sometimes you get slammed by the waves if you're not careful. Um, and I come out, and today I'm looking at my hands, and I'm like, it looks like I got a manicure.
hmm,
And I'm just kind of reflecting. I'm like, I think there's like something that can't be replicated in getting tossed around by the water interacting with the earth, and of course the wind that pushes the waters. And then I guess I'm just missing fire. So, you know, I think you create an elemental balance in your experience of life. And when you're in deep solitude trying to relax, the body has its own rhythm, has its own desires and its own method of finding relaxation. So, like
hmm,
you said, it's rare for you to skip the gym, but in deeply listening to yourself, you knew that that's what you needed. And in finding relaxation, um, it always
yeah,
changes. Yeah. I'm not saying a whole lot now. I'm just kind of rambling.
that's great. And by the way, you are literally living on the lava, which is liquid fire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Like,
beneath us.
You're living on the open mouth of the earth.
Yeah. Good reminder. Thank you.
So it's like if you can get activated by all four elements, it's gonna be exactly where you are. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay, well, this was interesting.
Hmm.
Thank you so much. Do you feel
Thank you.
completed?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
43. We only have 21 more weeks. Not even half a year.
Wow. I mean,
That's why you roped me into Osho. You're like, I can't have it end.
oh, we'll see how that goes. That's a different energy, totally. Don't you feel the difference? Totally different
Yeah, it was
energy.
kind of weird to come back to this.
Right?
I'm like, doesn't seem doesn't s- it this actually didn't feel very deep. And I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
I got to get out of my head a little bit because
No, I feel the same.
yeah.
Same exact thing. But also, I mean, yeah, would it be wrong not to finish it? We'll test that later.
Yeah, again, no, I'm not attached to finishing. Not attached to doing anything that would be forcing just for the sake of the check mark. Um,
That's
whatever
in the nature
feels
rebellious.
yeah, whatever feels resonant. We also, and in being honest with ourselves in that, if that were true, we might drop it and pick it up again later. It's like we can't define what will happen in the future. So,
True. But we also rolled many weeks back to back, which rarely happens. Usually there's a week or two.
right.
I I so meaning in a week, well, next in 2 weeks I'm gonna also, kind of disappear for a second.
Yep.
I'm having a guest. So that pause, maybe we'll revisit after the pause to see how we feel about it. But yeah, we shall continue.
Ah,
What?
44. Karmic relationships,
Oh,
interference, teamwork,
fuck.
synergy,
That's next week. Next week I can't. The week after, maybe the pause.
human fractals. Oh, I'm excited for that one.
Okay. All right.
All right. Ciao.
Bye.